Hiring the wrong SEO partner can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and often months of wasted time. I've seen it happen at least 4 or 5 times in the last few days alone. I don't want you to waste your money, so I'm going to show you how to get it right the first time. I've hired 15 SEOs across my own agency, various freelancers for brands, things of that nature. So whether you go in-house, hire a freelancer, or bring in an agency, I've got 7 tips to show you how to get it right on the first try. First, I'm going to break down kind of each of your core options: agency, freelancer, and in-house. And then I'm going to give you that 7-step framework that separates a good SEO partner from a bad SEO partner. So let's get to it. First, I want to talk about your 3 hiring options. We've got freelancer, we've got agency, and we've got in-house. Okay. All of them have different pricing options. That's like probably the biggest consideration. So I'm going to break that down. However, they all have kind of unique benefits and drawbacks that, may suit your brand at this time or another. Okay. So freelancer. In my experience, broadly speaking, freelancers are good for project-based work. So, technical SEO, you need to clean up, theme updates, domain migrations, even things like, temporary link building, right? Like a PR campaign or, link insertion or guest posting campaign. Freelancers can be good for all of those project-based items. So basically there is an endpoint kind of in sight. Okay. Now, freelancers are not just for short-term projects or even long-term projects. They can be kind of a perennial part of your brand. I just see them more often used in the project-based kind of style. Okay. I think it's a more temporary solution. I think if you're looking for something long-term, you would probably be wise to look at an agency or freelance, okay, or agency or in-house, excuse me. So that being said, let's get to an agency. First off, I run an agency. If you watch my videos, you know that, okay? I used to be a freelancer. I have done some in-house SEO at some point as well. I currently run an agency, right? Agencies are typically more expensive than a freelancer, but I have seen it other ways. I know freelancers personally that charge $10,000 a month to do SEO work for clients. I don't even charge that, and I employ a team of 8 people, okay? So it's not always the case, but generally speaking, agencies are more expensive than freelancers. However, the beauty of this is that you get an agent. When you pay an agency, you pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. You get a team of 7, 8, 9, 10 people, maybe more, maybe less, but you get that entire team for less than probably half the cost of a full-time employee. Okay. Full transparency, I charge on average between like $3,000 and $6,000 a month for my clients. At $3K a year or $3K a month, that is $36,000 a year. Our team is largely US based. Guaranteed you cannot find a US in-house SEO for less than $36,000. You probably can't even find it for less than 70. At least not a good one, and definitely not with like the level of experience that my team has. So financially, it can be a good fit, right? The other thing about agencies that people tend to like, they have fully established systems that are ready to run at a moment's notice, fully paid for tech stack, and a team that's ready to execute, right? The big knock on agencies is that they're too productized. And I agree. I know some very big SEO agencies, as well as meta agencies, Google Ads, email, all that kind of stuff, where it's very productized and not so personal. I've made it a very kind of core part of our agency that we will not be overly productized. However, there is benefit in productization. However, there is benefit in the productization of a service. We have tons of systems that can launch at a moment's notice. I can onboard an entire client, get link building campaigns running, start a technical audit with our developer, start a content strategy with our content team, and 5 other things with filling out a very basic form that I've already set up to run all these automations on. Okay. If you're hiring a freelancer, they probably don't have any of those things. If you're hiring an in-house SEO, you definitely don't have any of those things. Okay. So it's good for that, right? There's a lot of systems that can execute very quickly. So this is good if you're kind of at the point where you want to get SEO going right now, but you simply like don't have the time or the patience or the money to hire someone in-house and wait for them to get up to speed, right? So agencies are good on speed. That's another big benefit. Agencies can also be good for projects. Again, migrations, theme updates, link building. I know agencies that do all of those things on a kind of project-based, on like a project-based, let's say, okay? So that's that. In-house. Most 9-figure brands that I'm aware of have an in-house SEO team, okay? Or brands that are maybe 8 figures, but are super search heavy. Okay. Like that search is their predominant channel. Now, beyond e-commerce giants like, Amazon, Walmart, and like some 9-figure brands, which are, there's only a couple hundred of them in existence probably right now. Most in-house SEO teams exist for B2B companies, and they're less common in e-commerce. Typically, the reason they're more common in B2B is because in B2B, there's so much nuance and kind of the lead generation mechanism that you have compared to e-commerce, right? In e-commerce, it is simply find a site, buy a product. In B2B, you've got sales demos, free trials, paid trials. You've got monthly versus annual subscriptions, all these kinds of things. For a B2B company, it makes more sense in-house because those things can be communicated and kind of exercised and executed on with more nuance comparatively to an agency, which will just probably give you like a productized kind of strategy roadmap, and you're going to be kind of left with a lot of gaps, right? There's also just a bit more, there's typically more cash flow in B2B companies compared to e-commerce. So you can afford the extra, you can afford to pay more for an in-house employee because you have the extra cash flow. Okay. Now, one of the drawbacks about in-house agency or in-house SEO hires is it's difficult to hire if you don't know what you're hiring for. Okay. A lot of brands that I've spoken with who have, prospected me or that I've consulted on are like, well, we just want to hire someone in-house. And then you talk to them and their budget's like $1,000 a month. No one's going to work for you for $1,000 a month. No one good, at least. Okay. The other thing too is like, they don't even know what they're hiring for. So let's say they did pay someone $1,000 or $2,000 a month. That person could be a good SEO, or they could very likely not be. And that person, the brand will have no idea what they're paying for because they have no idea what they hired for. Okay. I also have a really good example. We just hired a new senior SEO. The process took 3 months to find the right hire, and it just happened about a week ago. I interviewed several senior e-commerce in-house roles from various brands and in like various e-commerce roles, all kinds of spaces all across the world. I can tell you right now, they had all had more years of experience than I did, but I did not feel that any of them were driving major results. Beyond even the conversations I had with them, I checked their sites in SEMrush and kind of what they said they've been doing. Not a lot of growth happening. So in-house can be a very expensive line item if you do not get it right. Okay. Now, benefits to each, different revenue stages, different types of brands, different types, industries entirely, e-com versus B2B versus local, all that kind of stuff varies, right? I don't think any local company that I'm aware of has like an in-house SEO unless they're like a franchise, but most of those people just use freelancers or agencies, right? So the cost changes, the timeline changes, your expectations obviously change, all that kind of stuff. All right. Now, as an agency, I want to get into how to break down a good and a bad SEO agency. Okay. If you're liking this video, subscribe to my newsletter below, subscribe to this channel, check me out on Twitter, check me out on LinkedIn. I post literally every single day, all the time. So if you like it, click the links below. Now, getting into agencies, good and bad SEO agencies. I've been running an agency for 2.5 years myself. I was employed by an agency for 9 months when I first started my career. And as a freelancer, I probably worked with 10 different agencies. So I have now in total worked with ballpark 12 agencies, one of which is including my own. The one I've been running for 2.5 years has taken a lot of learnings from those other 11 and kind of fleshed out, honestly, most of those learnings because a lot of agencies suck. Okay. So 7 things that distinguish a good versus a bad SEO agency. First, a good SEO agency will have loads of case studies and client interviews for your review. Okay. I will put the link down to my case studies and client interviews, testimonials, all that kind of stuff in the link below if you want to check it out. If you're a brand, you'll find this helpful. If you're an agency, I would recommend you getting something like this. It's going to help you sign more clients because the more social proof you have, the more money you're going to make. Simple as that. A bad agency will likely have none of these things, no client interviews, no case studies, or some vague testimonial that was written years ago from some no name, right? All of my interviews are literally with clients on the camera. You can see them. Like there's no manufactured quote. There's no manufactured testimonials there. I've seen a lot of agencies do that. I don't like it. Simple as that. Second thing here, good agency, very clear on deliverables you're getting, the workflow, communicating like what's happening, when things are happening, what to expect, as well as, KPIs, timelines, things of that nature. Okay. Good agency will be transparent. It's not going to be some black box that you don't understand, which is traditionally one of the biggest problems that brands have with SEO agencies, is that they don't have any idea what the hell they're doing. I've made it a very big point in my agency to eliminate that question mark entirely. A bad agency, very upset of that. You're really not sure what you're doing or what you're paying for, or even if it's working, right? I consult with like 200 or 300 brands in Daily Mentor and some other online communities. You would be shocked at the amount of brands who've been paying an agency a couple $100 or even a couple $1,000 a month. And when I ask them what the agency's been doing, 9 out of 10 times, they're like, I don't know. Like, I can ask for a report and I can send it to you. And I'm like, yeah, just send me the report. I'll take a look. The fact that they don't even know what they're doing is concerning in its own right. So good agency, very clear on what you're getting. There's a measurable ROI. Bad agency, you have no idea what they're doing, and you're wondering where your money's going. Number 3, good agency, talented team across the board, and you're actually working with the people that are doing the work on your site. Okay. More than half of our team is in our actual client Slack channels with brands, communicating with them directly on the actual work they're doing. Okay. A bad agency, you're going to speak to an account manager after you've been sold to by some sales associate. You're going to go to that account manager. That account manager is going to farm everything out to someone or a few people offshore for $3, $4, $5 an hour. It's going to be very basic, very remedial, and you're never going to speak to anyone actually doing the work on your site. Okay, this is super common. This is how a lot of SEO agencies, and even email agencies, Google Ads agencies, all of these kinds of agencies function the same way. Now, there are some that are better than others, but if I'm going to invest several $1,000s, I would at least like to speak to people that are going to be working on it directly. Just my opinion, which is why I've made the agency very front facing. Most of our team members actually speak directly with clients when talking about their sites. Number 4, pricing, huge indicator on whether an agency is actually going to be good for you or not. There's some nuance to this. Let me preface it with that. But again, generally above $2,500 to $3,000 a month you're going to be more likely to find a good agency at that price point or above, comparatively to below it. There's also something to be said about, contract length and kind of their customer profile they tend to work with. Okay. I don't do any long-term contracts. We are purely month to month. That is because I believe in our results early on, and I believe you're going to be happy if you start working with us. Brand agencies that lock you into a 6-12 month contract, I don't want that kind of contract hanging on both of our heads. You're unhappy you paid for it. I'm unhappy I have to do it for you. All that kind of shit. So shorter contracts, easy way to go. I understand. I know if you're a 8-9 figure brand, sometimes you actually like to have the 12-month contract in place because you like that consistency, assuming obviously you found a good partner. Again, there's exceptions to all these, but again, if it's like a 6-12 month contract and they're charging you $2,000 a month, 90% likelihood it's a pretty shitty contract and you're going to be really unhappy for the next year of your life. The other thing is customer profile. We only work with e-commerce brands selling on Shopify that are making between 7 and 9 figures a year. That's it. No local clients, no 6-figure kind of clients, like clients in niches that we don't serve or I'm not confident that we could serve. Simply just tell you we can't do it. Simple as that. Okay. So if you're a brand that fits at ICP, I could probably hook you up. If you're not, you should go find someone else. One big red flag, switching to kind of the bad agency on this, like the bad agency side of this pricing and contract stuff, is if an agency just works with any kind of brand or company, like if they have a few local clients and a few B2B clients and a few SaaS clients and a few e-commerce clients, the odds are substantially lower that they're going to get results for you comparatively to if you just hired an e-com agency or just hired a B2B agency, right? They should have a very clear customer profile. And if you're prospecting to work with them, you should fit that customer profile. If you don't, probably going to be unhappy. The other thing is pricing. Above 90% of agencies below $2,000 US dollars a month are probably going to be bad. Again, with some exceptions. When I started, I think my first 2 clients were like $500 and $1,500 a month. I charged, triple that now, triple that now. But at the time, I didn't have any social proof to back me up. So I had to work for a lower rate to get a case study from these brands in exchange for my lower rate. They were going to give me a testimonial, which happened because I got good results. However, there are a lot of SEO agencies that will just keep charging. Like I scaled up because I wanted to work with bigger and better brands. However, there are agencies out there that will just stick around the $1,500 price point and continue to deliver a very low quality service because they know $1,500, like it's not, when you're evaluating an agency, $1,500 is not a lot of money, quite frankly. So you pay $1,500 and you'll probably stick around for 6 to 9 months, assuming they get you on a long-term contract, even if they don't get any work done. Like they've kind of just looped you into a low ball contract so that they can get paid, and they're going to barely deliver any results for you. So that's like kind of why pricing gets a little dicey. The lower you, like the closer you get to, the further you get below 2,000, I would say the pricing gets really dicey, and so does the quality. Anything like below 1,000, like unless it's a freelancer pitching you on specific deliverables, $500 agency, $1,000 agency, guaranteed waste of your time. Like you're going to be so mad you even signed it. So I would not do it. Again, longer contracts are probably a pretty big red flag, especially at that price point. Longer contracts are favored by some like 8-9 figure brands who want the long-term relationship to be built. I've seen that happen, right? But again, longer contracts typically a red flag at a lower price point. That was a long one. Next one here is kind of the pricing structure. Okay, good agency, one pricing offer tailored to your brand with a custom strategy that is built just for your brand. Okay. When I speak with prospects, I pitch them kind of on our services and our pricing. It is one price. Okay. It's not like here's price A, B, and C. Like this is the price I believe I could be effective for you at and get you the results you are actually seeking. Okay. The strategies we build off the back of that do not look the same as one another. Okay. What works for a fitness brand won't work for an apparel brand, won't work for a coffee brand. So all of these things vary, right? Also where the brand is at in terms of like their growth in SEO and revenue. Variable number of links, pages, things of that nature. All these things are going to vary within our monthly fees. That works for us, and that's what makes it so bespoke and customized to a brand, which enables us to unlock so much growth comparatively to the average agency. A bad agency, on the other hand, just has a pricing package. You get 3 options. You pick the one you think is best. The bad thing is you're locked into a number of deliverables, whether they work or don't work. You may get 4 blogs a month. You may get 5 backlinks a month. It's productized as hell, and it's probably not going to drive results. Okay. They want to sell you the middle one because that's the most profitable one for you. You're going to do that because you think you're getting a deal. Guaranteed you're not. Guaranteed money, like pretty much like lighting your money on fire. Next one here. Good agency is product-based. Bad agency is checklist-based. Okay. Product-based. We have products and systems that evolve over time with your brand. Okay. The content we're creating, the links we're building, they scale with you. A bad agency, on the other hand, is just going to have a checklist. We optimize these pages one time. We're probably done with them forever. We wrote all these top funnel blogs. Okay, we're good. We built you 5 links in this month like we said we would. However, we didn't actually check if they were 5 good ones or 5 mediocre ones, or probably more likely than anything, 5 really terrible ones. Last up here, good agency moves fast and communicates clearly. I've hated the stereotype rather, that SEO takes 6 to 12 months to work. It doesn't. If you put the right parts in place quickly, results happen way faster. Bad agency moves slowly. They'll just say SEO takes 6 to 12 months for it to work, and then they'll just keep cashing the check until you inevitably churn and break your contract around 6 or 9 months. Happens all the time. They were immensely profitable for 6 to 9 months, and you were immensely stressed that you spent the cash for 6 to 9 months. So, long video. That's good and bad agency. If you have any questions, drop in the comments below. And again, if you're a Shopify brand looking for a good SEO agency and you are between 7 and 8 figures a year in revenue, book a call with me below. Link is in the description. Peace.